Kia ora to the DC subbies. In today's episode, we're going to look at two interrogations, to look at two different styles of interrogation.
How have you been treated so far by the officers here?
Well, they're not mean, and they're not nice. I mean, they're just neutral.
I get that, man, and that's why your fucking story makes no sense.
Towards two different DCs, and from two different countries. Now that's roughly where the differences stop. So now what is their similarities? They are both roughly the same age. They are both Caucasian. They both live with their parents at home. And they both committed the same type of crime. And that crime would be matricide. And what matricide is the act of a child killing their mum. Now I think what makes this video interesting, or one that kind of taught me a lesson to look at things differently than the way I originally did, is the last similarity between these two DCs. And that is they both have autism. Not full, but on the spectrum. So their personalities are affected by the autism, but it does not interfere with their intelligence because both of them have studied, drove cars, lived life. And they did that while living with their parents. And now for the backstories. This is DC number 1. His name is Cameron Rodgers. He's a Canadian. Cameron lives with, or lived with, his adopted parents, David and Meryl. Apparently very, very lovely people. And they loved Cameron a lot and pampered him, which may not have worked out too well. So on November 20th, 2016, our DC here was at home with his mum and dad, sitting in the kitchen for a while, when all of a sudden he got up, went outside, grabbed a wooden sword from a shed, came back in, and then killed his mum by bashing her with the sword and then ultimately picking up a knife and stabbing her. Now with all the kerfuffle that was going on, DC's dad came running into the kitchen, saw what was going on, and then DC attacked him. He got him a few times in the neck with a knife, and the old man went down, and unfortunately David passed away. Now DC Cameron here, he stayed in the house for about a week, and in that time he cleaned up the place and then dragged the two bodies outside and put them in a hole, made up stories when people came around to see them. And then after a week, old DC here thought, it'd be a good idea if I got out of the country, because, that's a genius plan. So he thought he'd head for the States and submerge himself. But he was thwarted at the border because he didn't have one of those things called a visa. So he returned to Ottawa and slept rough for about a night. And since he was a pussy, he then thought, no, I don't like this, sleeping rough sucks. So he decided to turn himself in. So he rang the cops and then confessed to what he did. And this was the phone call.
Hello?
Hello.
I would like to confess to a murder.
Okay.
Okay.
And who did you kill?
My mom and dad.
Okay. Where do they live?
They live in Ottawa.
They live in Ottawa?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you have an address?
1614 Appledorn. That's...
How do you spell the street name?
1614 and then Apeldoorn.
Okay. And what's your name?
My name is Cameron. Cameron Rodgers.
How old are you?
I'm 22.
22.
Here's the street. Ontario and Savoie.
Okay. Are you gonna stay on the corner?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I will stay on the corner.
What are you wearing? The clothing?
I'm wearing an orange puffy coat and orange mitts with jeans.
Okay, so orange coat, and you're 22. Okay.
Yes, and I have a hoodie on.
Okay, I'll send somebody to go and talk to you and just see what's going on. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
So that was DC1's phone call, and what I'm going to do is play you DC2's phone call. But before I do that, I'll give you a bit of the backstory. This DC's name is Nathan Schimmel. He's from the US of A. He lived with his beautiful mum, a mum who wanted her bum son of a DC to go out and get a job instead of sitting around being a bum. So on August 23rd, 2017, our DC had a brilliant idea, and that was to murder his mum and get away with it. So on the 23rd, old DC here, he hid in his house and waited for his mum to come home, and when she come home, he sprung up and stabbed her with a big-ass knife. Then he set up the scene to make it look like a random attack kind of robbery thing. So after he did the horrific deed, he then ripped over to his mate's place and called 911, and this is his phone call.
Sligo County 911, what's the location of your emergency?
47 Woodhollow Lane.
47, and tell me the street name one more time.
47 Woodhollow Lane.
Woodhollow, okay, and what's going on there?
I think he hurt my mom.
Who's he?
I don't know. He was wearing one of those robber masks.
Okay, and this happened at 47 Woodhollow? That's where your mom is?
Yes.
Okay, and how long ago was this?
Just now I heard screaming, and then I came out and she was on the ground. I don't think she's okay.
Okay, we'll send an ambulance. Is she alert and conscious?
I don't know. I got her there as soon as I could. I don't know if he saw me.
Okay, are you with your mom right now?
No, I got away.
Okay, so you left your mom at 47 Woodhollow?
Yes.
Okay, all right, and where are you now?
I'm at a friend's house.
Okay, do you know how she was injured?
There was a knife.
What do you mean there was a knife? Did you see a knife in her?
Yes.
So the knife was still in her?
Yeah.
Okay, but you have no idea who did this?
No, he was wearing one of those robber masks. What are they called?
Okay, did you see anything else about him, or did you see which way he went?
No, he was tall and was wearing one of those masks.
Okay, did he get into a vehicle, or did he leave on foot?
I don't know. I got away before.
Now that pretty much wrapped up his phone call. And as you can see, our DC2 here has a plan. And now, my DC subbies, let's go watch that plan get ripped apart. So first up, we have DC1 and his confession. Remember, this is Canada, and this Canadian interrogator is a specialist in the field of dealing with people with conditions such as this. So she uses what she's been taught. What you'll see with the questionings from this detective is that she is now assessing the DC's level of intelligence, comprehension, understanding, all tactic that she's been taught to know lawfully, legally and reasonably how to interrogate a person that is on the autism spectrum. So her salvo of opening questions all relate to that issue. Ladies and gentlemen, DC subbies, the cotton gloves technique.
You understand that you're under arrest right now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what do you believe you're under arrest for?
Killing my parents.
Okay, so that's called, it's first-degree murder.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Did you want to talk to a lawyer again?
No.
No?
It's all sorted out
Okay.
so far. I already talked to one. I don't want to talk to another one. I don't see why I'd have to.
How have you been treated so far by the officers here?
Well, they're not mean and they're
Okay.
not nice. I mean, they're just neutral.
And what do you mean by neutral? Like, what?
Well,
how-
I mean, they're not nice and they're not mean. I mean,
Okay.
like they're just fine.
They're just fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was in mechanical engineering technology, but then I changed. I didn't want that degree. No.
So why were you taking it?
Because my parents told me to take it.
How did you end up here in Montreal?
I was told by the person I called on the phone, not the lawyer, but the one that's supposed to help me, that I shouldn't answer questions.
Okay, that's all right.
And I'm feeling that answer is not.
So now DC Pussy explains what the reason was behind killing his parent.
I shouldn't have done it. I don't want to place the blame, so I can't really say that my parents were putting pressure, but they were. But I mean that's no account for doing the deed, other than no money and having to go into a program for 3 years that I didn't want to go into. I don't know what else there would be.
And that's it. That's what this guy killed his parents over. But unlike Jessica, the psychotic, this DC's a psychopath.
Just do this.
It was, I guess, the spur of the moment.
How did you do it?
1 or 2 knives and a stick.
And where did you kill them?
In our kitchen.
What was going on right before you killed them?
My mom was doing something else in the kitchen.
Okay.
And my dad was somewhere else in the
After
house.
DC murdered them, he dragged them outside and hid them under the shed. So she asked him a question regarding it.
How did they get to the outside?
I put them there like I was...
This is where you start to see that he's already thought about his answers. You see, our DC Cam here, he's already thought that he had to drag his parents outside and hide them so he wouldn't get caught. But he's smart enough to know, oh, I don't want to say that. So he comes up with another answer, a reason why he dragged them outside, and it doesn't make him look like such an asshole.
I put them there like I was... I didn't want like my mom's brothers or any friends to come and see them like that.
Okay. And how did you get them out to the back?
I had to, I dragged my mom in a tarp.
Okay.
And then I put my dad in a suitcase.
Okay.
And then pulled him out.
Did you have to do anything to get him into the suitcase? Or?
Well, it wasn't like a perfect fit. Like I didn't like make him like fit.
And how long did you remain in the house after they...
A week.
And where were they for that 1 week?
For a day, they were wherever they got killed. After that, was spent taking them out to the backyard and then cleaning up a little bit.
Okay.
So it wasn't, blood all over the place.
For sure, yeah. Because you didn't want any family members to see that. What room had to be cleaned up?
The kitchen. I think it was 2 knives in a plastic bag with the stick that had broken, so I put those in the plastic bag and I put it in the black box, which is in the garage.
What did you do then for that whole week then in the house?
Stayed in my room.
Okay.
Because when I was mostly going to run away from Ottawa, hoping to go to the US, but since that didn't work out, I got stuck in Montreal, and then that's when I called.
How come you weren't able to get into the US?
Well, you need some kind of visa.
I see.
And I didn't have that, so I'd have to lie, and that just wouldn't work.
Do you remember what day of the week this was that this happened to your parents?
Sunday.
It was a Sunday at about what time?
11 in the morning.
In the morning. Did somebody call you to find out where they were? 2
of her brothers. I was scared, so I said that they had the flu.
Did anybody come over in the those 8 days?
We have friends from church, and they came over the next Sunday, and I said the same thing.
They were at the house?
Yeah, they came over to the house.
Okay.
This part's interesting, for it is the only time that you can see the effects of the autism in regards to DC's comprehension of the situation now at hand.
We're discussing, I feel like we're still trying to figure out if I did it or not, and I don't understand. Like I thought confessing would mean that I would be, like, that would be it.
We need to understand just because somebody tells us they did something, it doesn't mean it happens, right? So that's why when you told Montreal, there's a lot of people say things sometimes that aren't true.
The spur of the moment, I don't even know. Like, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, took me 50 minutes of going back and forth about to do it and then not to do it.
Yep, you heard that right. He spent like an hour sitting down, not talking to anyone, but just sitting there thinking about, I'm going to kill my mum and dad. Wasn't under any type of duress. Just thought it was time for them to go. That, my friends, is a psychopath.
50 minutes of going back and forth about to do it and then not to do it.
And your mum, you said she was in the kitchen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And where was your dad?
He was somewhere else, I don't know exactly.
Okay. Can you just explain to me how your dad, did it both happen in the kitchen? Okay. How does your dad end up in the kitchen?
When I did my mum, he came running, and then I did him.
How long did it take?
What do you mean?
Like before your mom, like how long did you...
Well, my dad didn't take very long, but...
This answer really does solidify why this prick is a DC. Because now he throws away the defence that this was just an impulsive reaction to a situation. Because his mum didn't die straight away, No. She took 10 hours to pass away. So he can't use the defense he was blinded by emotion of a critical incident, because he would have calmed down and then thought about it and then rung the emergency services. But oh no, not our DC. He really wanted to kill his parents.
It took a long time.
You're about to see him cry. Remember, this is but merely an act.
And it was really hard because she was in pain and I wanted it to stop. And I couldn't make it stop. And I felt so bad because she was in pain. And I went for the whole night.
And what?
It took the whole night for her to die. I went to my room and she was still in pain. I could hear.
Now, you'd probably think that those tears DC's crying are real. Well, so did I, until I heard the next answer that he gave to one of the origin questions.
Why is it then, after, when you realized she was in pain, why didn't you call 911?
Well, I knew it was too late.
And what do you mean by it was too late?
The wounds were too bad.
You see, that's a lie, because he's thought about, what if they ask me that question? And that's the answer he's thought about giving. Our boy Cameron is a very cunning young man.
Talked about a stick.
Yeah.
Who did you use the stick on?
I think it was both.
On both? And what part of the bodies did you hit them with?
I think it was the head.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All
The
right.
stick broke.
The stick broke on who?
I don't remember exactly.
Okay. All right. And there were 2 knives involved?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, where did you get the knives?
The kitchen?
Which knife did you use on which person?
I don't remember.
You don't remember? Okay.
But I think I remember this. There was a smaller one that was only used on my mom.
Okay. All right. Okay. And do you remember what your mom said to you right before?
Like before all of this happened?
Yeah.
No.
There a conversation going on with
No.
you and her? No? And where did you stab her on her?
In the back. Actually, wait. I didn't stab her first. I used the stick first.
You used the stick? Okay.
Yeah.
And where did you get the stick?
I made it a while back.
Okay.
Now the detective asks him, what was going on in that mind of yours, DC? What was going on in that mind of yours while you were killing your mum and dad?
When you were doing this?
Like when I was moving them.
No, when you were actually stabbing them and hitting them.
I don't remember exactly what I was thinking, but I don't think I was thinking anything. Maybe it was just adrenaline or something. I don't think I was feeling actually any anger.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm actually quite happy that this DC thinks he's so smart that he doesn't need a lawyer.
Which
That makes me happy.
actually really bad. Like, and I think that's what I was saying, that like it took me like 15 minutes of going back and forth of thinking to do it and then not thinking I shouldn't do it, and you know, then I finally did it, but I wasn't like out of anger. Like, I don't think.
So what was the purpose
I don't know. Like, it's not that I wasn't doing it for anger, but at the moment when I did it, I wasn't feeling really angry. Maybe it was just the fact that it took me like doing the 50 minutes of about to do it and then not doing it, and then like when I say not doing it, I mean like chickening out.
So that's the motive. Yep, nobody calls a DC a chicken, especially not this DC. Nobody. Not even himself. So that pretty much wraps up DC's one's confession interrogation. That is what we call at the channel the cotton gloves technique when dealing with a psychopath who's just confessed to murdering his parents. That is on the autism spectrum. And it's pretty much how I thought interviews like that would go. But what I did not expect, and a lesson that I learned, was from watching the next episode on this channel and the use of the bull technique down in the US of A. So make sure you watch it, because it really does teach you something. So if you haven't already, make sure you become a DC subbie and subscribe to this channel. This channel will have episode 2 in a couple of days, DC2. So until then, all of yous, especially my DC subbies, stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.
After he stabs the fucking Christ out of her.